Hello everyone, my name is Anthonye Angelillo. I'm the President and Grand Master Instructor here at Micropigmentation Academy. Today what we're going to discuss is machine stroke. I know everybody's been wondering, or they question, well, what's a machine stroke? When it comes to different type of machines. Making it easiest so you understand. Hopefully everybody knows an engine in a car, okay? And if you don't know, there's a crankshaft inside the engine. It pushes up on a rod onto a piston, into a cylinder, and every time it turns, it goes up. That motion of it going up, as you can see here, right? From here to here, that's the stroke length, okay? Going up on the crank. So that stroke length is from a definitive point to a definitive point. So there's many different stroke lengths when it comes to machines, the rotor machines and pens. Basically, it's how far the needle protrudes out of the cartridge, meaning it will only be able to move a certain amount of millimeters. For instance, there's a lot, let's say 2.5 or 2.3 millimeter stroke, let's say, okay? That means this machine is going to push this in and out only 2.3 millimeters. Basically, you insert the cartridge in, and then basically the needle would only be able to come a cycling motion of 2.3 millimeters, say. There's some that are 2.5. They go all the way up. There's many different stroke lengths, 3 millimeter, 3.5 millimeter, 3.2, 3.7, 4 millimeter, 4.2, and so on. There's even some higher ones, but nothing that we'd be using in this industry. What are the benefits of a shorter stroke to a longer stroke? I will say this, a shorter stroke is really only good for shading, meaning like, let's say you're doing an ombre brow shading or areola shading, or just some more shading on the body where you have to do a hatching movement like this. Basically, the shorter stroke is better for that type of work, but it's important to know that it creates excellent for gradient shading. So when it comes to doing PMU and stuff like that, it's best with the shorter stroke from 2.3 to 2.7, I would say, maximum when it comes to regular PMU. I will say this, for SMP, you want the longer stroke length. Now I'm going to tell you why. And this is from my many years of trying many different stroke lengths, many different machines, to hone down to my favorite stroke length. So for instance, now the longer stroke length, let's say 3.5 to 4.2, the needle's going to be hanging out of the cartridge and be able to cycle further out of the cartridge because you have much more stroke length to play with. I could literally adjust it so that the stroke length comes out to its maximum. So let's say we use 4 millimeter stroke. This needle is going to come out of this end of this cartridge, not exactly 4 millimeter. Let me just reiterate that. Maybe 3.9, because you're going to have a little bit of the needle when it comes back out. You want it to be adjusted in so it's at least a millimeter in from the cartridge opening, so it will siphon and suck up pigment. The reason why I love the longer stroke length, okay, bear this in mind. When you have the needle hanging out much longer, pigment tends to be more refined to the end of the needle, meaning it doesn't create a pooling effect or a spitting effect, which I find on machines with shorter strokes, they spit and create more muddiness to the surface, so and also use more pigment. Now when you have the longer machine stroke and the needle comes out further, it creates a much cleaner, precise, precision hit. So your work is much cleaner, you use less pigment, and not only that, the cartridge housing is not in the way of your view of you connecting with the surface of the skin. I'll get that in a minute on proper setting of the needle, cartridge, and the machines.